Hi everyone, welcome to Impact Academy. I'm Yashasvi Chintara. So today let us continue with the Indian polity question and answer session. So last class we have seen up till 35th question. Okay. So let us continue from the 36th question. Okay. So with reference to the Indian citizenship, consider the following statements. The Indian Constitution promotes the feeling of fraternity through the system of single citizenship. Okay, which is true, right? So in other countries, we have a concept of dual citizenship, etc. For example, uh, in America also, there is one citizenship for what is it, for each state there is different citizenship, and there is a separate uniform citizenship for the country as a whole. Okay, but in India we have a common single citizenship throughout the country. Okay, so definitely the Indian Constitution promotes the feeling of fraternity through the system of single citizenship. Okay. Next, the Constitution contains in detail provision for the acquisition or loss of citizenship subsequent to its commencement. So we have already seen Citizenship Act of 1955, etc., and we've seen renunciation, termination, all these things. So, so the Constitution does not deal exclusively about this. What do you say? Acquisition or loss of anything. Okay, it empowers the parliament to enact a law to provide for such matters. Okay, that is what is said in the Citizenship Act of 1955. Okay, so this option is wrong. The Constitution does not contain in detail provisions for acquisition or loss of citizenship. It is giving that power to the Parliament, and the Parliament can do any. I mean, it can enact any law. Okay, regarding the citizenship, etc., etc., and that will be amended from time to time. And keep in mind the Citizenship Act of 1955. Okay, that is also very important. So in this case, the answer is A. That is one only. Okay, which of the following statements are correct? So consider the following statements. Consider the following statements with reference to the cultural and educational rights in Part 3 of the Indian Constitution. So, so let us quickly look at Part 3. So what is Part 3? This is also very important. Part 3 is fundamental rights, okay, from 12 to 35. So literally Article 12 to 35, or at least from 14 to 32, you have to have everything by heart. Okay, they are very important. So Part 3 deals with fundamental rights, right? So let us look at Article 30, right? Article 30. What is Article 30? So basically 29, 30 is cultural and educational rights. So 21 is protection of interest of minorities, and Article 30 is right of minorities to establish and administer educational institutions. So the question, consider the following statements with reference to cultural and educational rights in Part 3. Minorities can establish and administer educational institutions of their choice. So which is true, right? We have just seen. The term minority has not been defined under Article 30. So it is true. Okay, the term minority has specifically not been defined in the Indian Constitution. Okay, so it is up to the interpretation of the courts or the parliament, whatever. It is not specifically mentioned. The term minority has not been defined. So this is also true. So, rights conferred upon minorities under Article 30 are intended to place the minorities in an advantageous position. So, usually, you can say the statement is somewhat negative statement, right? So, no one intends to do those things. No one is trying to make place the minorities in advantageous position or anything. So, the idea is Article 30 is primarily to see that minorities have freedom to establish their educational institutions and preserve their language, culture, etc. So it is basically to safeguard the what you say, you can say the identity, the interests of the minorities, etc. So that does not mean that they are trying to suppress the majority and uplift minority, nothing like that. So this third statement is clearly wrong. So the answer is A, 1 and 2 only. Okay. So which of the following reflects the centralizing tendency imbibed in the Indian Constitution? Okay. So the dominance of the center in the financial sphere. So you can say there is a certain dominance of the center in the financial sphere. Okay, because we have, especially if you look at the concurrent list, most of these what you say banking system, okay, financial system, it's all in the control of the center. Okay, and of course states have their own power, but definitely you can clearly see banking, postal department, and all these important topics are in central, and the central list is having 100 subjects, right? So the dominance of the center in the financial sphere is correct. The emergence of a powerful erstwhile planning commission. So which of the following reflects the centralizing tendency imbibed in the Indian Constitution? So if you look at the planning commission, okay, the planning commission is majorly, I mean, first of all, it is not a constitutional body, okay. So it is, see, it's saying centralizing tendency is imbibed in the Indian Constitution. So there itself you can say something is wrong because planning commission is not a constitutional body. Okay, it's not even a statutory body. It's just a, what you see. It became powerful body in course of time. So it controls all this what you say grants, funds given to the states, etc. So all the planning activity. So because of this, what you say finance, so much financial power that is given to the planning commission, it has definitely become a very powerful body. So you can clearly say that this planning commission is actually giving more control to the center, because if the center wants to give more grants to a particular state, the planning commission can do that. So the planning commission definitely reflects the centralizing tendency of India, of the center. Okay, not India, of center. Okay, so observe this. So all these three are reflecting the centralizing tendency. That is for sure. Dominance of center and financial sphere. Okay, emergence of a powerful erstwhile planning commission. So all that is fine. And all India services definitely. See, all India services are recruited by the center, by the UPSC, and then deputed to the states, right? So the center definitely has control over these officers. So all three are centralizing, have a centralizing tendency. But all India services, you have Article 312, right? Let us look at it. Financial sphere. But Planning Commission is not a constitutional body, so it is not imbibed in the constitution. So only one and three are correct. Okay. And let us quickly look at the article of, um, that would be somewhere around 312, 314. So let us quickly go to 312, 314. Okay. So article 312 is all India services. Okay. 312 is all India services. 314 is repealed. Okay. And just look at it. Starting from part 14. Okay. So all these things you have to remember. And whenever the opportunity comes, you have to go through these things. And because we are preparing for both, not only civil services, group 1 and group 2, everything. So in group 2, these things will come in handy. So services under the union and the states comes under part 14, right? Keep that in mind. Part 15 would be election, right? Is it? Part 15 would be elections. Okay, remember that. And because elections are around the corner, you have to look at all these things. 324 is very important. It deals about election commission, superintendence, direction, and control of elections to be vested in a election commission. 326 is very important. Okay, because it is talking about basis of adult suffrage. That means people above 18 years of age can vote. So this is a very important article. And fine. And 329 is dealing with bar to interference by courts. Okay, so 324 is election commission, and part 15 mainly remember that. And we are talking about part 14, that is services. Out of that, 312 is all India services, and all this is fine. So just go through these things. Dismissal, removal of reduction in rank in civil capacity, 311. Okay, Fine. Just try to remember one or two important things. If you try to remember everything, then again it will get more confusing. So anyway, so in this particular case, it is C is the answer. So which one of the following resembles the directive principles of state policy? So, so in this particular case, objectives resolution, we've seen it has been moved by Jawaharlal Nehru, but the directive principles, you can say they resemble the instrument of instructions. Okay, they are in the Government of India Act of 1935. Okay, and even Dr. B.R. Ambedkar ji said that the directive principles are like the instrument of instructions. Okay, so even if a question can be asked like that also, who called the directive principles as similar to the instrument of instructions? Okay, and they are in Government of India Act of 1935. Fine, so it is not exactly objectives resolution. So objectives resolution more you can say is related to preamble. Okay, so in this particular case, which one of the following resemble the directive principles of state policy, the instrument of instruction, and where is it present? It is in the Government of India Act of 1935. Okay, it was issued by the Governor General to the governors of the colonies of India. Fine. Okay, so these type of questions are also frequently asked. Okay, so just go through political scientist and descriptions of Indian federalism. So this is the first chapter in what is Indian polity. I mean salient features of the Indian constitution, etc. So who said what? Okay, so Granville Austin, he talked about cooperative federalism. Okay, he described Indian federalism as a cooperative federalism. Okay, so India is a federal country, but he opined that it is more like a cooperative federalism. That means where central government and state governments cooperate and work together in a spirit of partnership. Okay, so the basically you have the central government and state government, and there is a certain cooperation between them. Okay, so for example, if you take something like Canada or America, in other places, the states actually function quite independently from the center. Okay, the states they have separate citizenship of the particular state, etc. All and so there are several. What is the states have their own powers. Fine. So Granville Austin talked about cooperative federalism. So the first one is correctly matched. Casey Ware. Okay, Casey Ware. He talked about quasi federalism, not bargaining federalism. Okay, so Casey Ware talked about quasi federalism. He described the Indian constitution as quasi federal because it is not completely federal because we have a single Supreme Court, single citizenship, okay, and we have the All India services. Okay, there is a lot of central dominance. Okay, so it is quasi federal. And who said that? KCBA and Morris Jones. Morris Jones talked about bargaining federalism. Okay, so basically, this is this and this is this. Okay, it has been reversed. So what is bargaining federalism? So bargaining federalism refers to the negotiation and bargaining that often takes place between the central government and the state governments in India. Okay, regarding various issues, resource allocation, okay, policy implementations, and all these things. Okay, so it is not like central government says something and all the states will follow. Not like that. So of course, in the concurrent list, whatever the central government says, it will the state government will follow. But you have a separate state list. Okay, law and order. Okay, law and order, agriculture. Several important subjects are also in state list also, and the states have their capacity to borrow external loans also from outside the country also. So it is a bargaining federalism. So who said this? Morris Jones. Okay, so remember this. Granville Austin said it is a cooperative federalism. Casey Weir said ours is a quasi federalism, and Morris Jones said it is bargaining federalism. And the question says how many are correctly matched? Only one is correctly matched. So option A is the correct answer. Okay. So consider the following posts and their forms of oaths or affirmations. Okay, President, Governor, CAT, Comptroller and Auditor General. judges of High Court. Which of the posts given above have their forms of oaths or affirmation in the third schedule of the Indian Constitution? So let us go to the third schedule of the Indian Constitution. So we have seen schedules. Okay. So look at the third schedule. Third schedule deals with forms of oaths or affirmations for union ministers. Okay. So president is not there, right? President, governors, speakers, all the chairman and deputy chairman of Rajya Sabha, all these are in second schedule. And second schedule deals with emoluments, allowances, etc. And here, third schedule, we are talking about oaths or affirmations. Union ministers, candidates for election to parliament. So basically, members of parliament, judges of Supreme Court is there. Okay. Here also judges of Supreme Court is there. State ministers. Here, state ministers is not there, right? And CAG is there. Candidates for elections to state legislature, members of the state legislature, judges of the high courts. Okay, high courts. Even here, judges is common and the CAG is common. Try to remember that way. You'll remember better. Speaker and chairman is here. It is not there. Okay, in third schedule. And governor's president is here. And here, governor and president is not there. Okay, so try to remember that. And MPs are there. Union ministers are there. And second schedule deals with emoluments and allowances privileges. Third schedule is dealing with oaths and affirmations. Okay, all this is very very important. You should literally have all the 12 schedules by heart. Okay, initially there were 8 and now there are 12. So president and governor is not there, right? President and governor is not there. It is there in schedule 2. So he's talking about schedule third schedule. So CAG is there, judges of High Court, judges of Supreme Court is there. So 3 and 4 is the answer. Answer B. Also, we have seen union ministers, okay, MPs, MLAs, etc. Okay, try to remember that. President, governor is there in 2, is not there in 3. Common is judges, CAT, okay, judges of High Court, Supreme Court, and the Controller and Auditor General are common. So, which one of the following is not a prescribed method of acquiring Indian citizenship under the Citizenship Act of 1955? So, we've already seen Citizenship Act of 1955 in detail, right? So, registration is there, okay, registration, naturalization, and incorporation of a territory is also there, right? We've seen all these things. Registration means you register. Okay, nationalization, parents are what you say are from Indian origin, etc. So all these things we've seen very clearly detailed. Okay, in Citizenship Act of 1995. Okay, so you can get citizenship by birth. Okay, you can get by descent. Okay, descent means your parents or grandparents are Indians. Okay, and you can get by registration, naturalization, incorporation of territory, etc., etc. Okay, but infusion of foreign capital in Indian economy. Okay, infusion of foreign capital, that means if there is some Chinese or Pakistan national and he what you say gives FDI of or 1 billion or something. Just because of that, we don't give Indian citizenship, right? So infusion of foreign capital is I don't think it's I mean it is not a prescribed method of acquiring Indian citizenship. So option D is the right answer. Okay. So consider the following statements with reference to the fundamental rights of the Indian Constitution. So equality before law signifies the absence of any privileges in the favor of any person, which is definitely true. And fundamental rights are very important. We'll look into that. Article 14 forbids class legislation but permits reasonable classification. Okay, so we'll look into that. Equality before law is only available to Indian citizens and not to foreigners. Fine. So let us look at fundamental rights. Very important. Fundamental rights. So preamble articles. Where are fundamental rights? So if you talk about fundamental rights, So these are the fundamental rights. Okay, fine. So let us see quickly. You see Article 14 to 18 is right to equality. Okay, so right to equality is saying equality before law and equal protection of laws. Okay, and we are talking about foreigners and Indians, right? See, fundamental rights available to only citizens and available to both citizens and foreigners. So, equality before law and equal protection of laws is also available to foreigners. Okay, see, just because you're a foreigner, we cannot say that you cannot show any discrimination, right? But what are the see these basic things: protection in respect to conviction, protection of life and liberty. Okay, all these things, right? To elementary education is also there. Okay, that means. Even if you are a foreigner, your kid can get elementary education also. Okay, protection against arrest and detention. Yes, prohibition of traffic. So all these things are positive things. Okay, prohibition of employment of children, freedom of conscience, and so basically he can practice and propagate his religion, manage religious affairs. Okay, need not pay taxes. Okay, freedom from attending religious instruction. Okay, so basically, religion rights are also there. Everything is there. Only thing is this right to speech and expression, assembly, association. Those things are not there. Okay, so 15 Article 15 prohibition of discrimination on grounds of religion, race, etc. So that is also not available. So and equality of in employment matters also it is not there. And this Article 19 is not available. And foreigners don't have any rights regarding their languages, scripts, etc. Because if foreigners are given this language right, just imagine how many languages anyone can come and learn. Okay, so using some common sense also you can make out. Okay. So religious rights are there. So don't get confused because foreigner means he can come from any religion. So you may think all religions are not allowed, but yes, he can practice whatever religion he wants. Also, he need not pay tax. Also, fine. He need not pay tax. He need not attend. I mean, if his kids are in any school, they need not attend any what you say classes regarding religion and no taxes. And he can manage his religious affairs also and except enemy aliens. Enemy aliens means those with whom we have a war. Okay, like Pakistan or any if we are in war with China or anything. Right now, I think Pakistan is a enemy alien. So, so this is about fundamental rights. So, first question is correct, right? Equality before law signifies absence of any special privileges in favor of any person, which is true. And Article 14 forbids class legislation but permits reasonable classification. So we have seen Article 14, equality of law and equal protection of law. Okay, but it permits reasonable classification. For example, if you take the reservation system. So when you say equality before law, okay, then why is it that someone who is belonging to the BC or SC or minority or EWS is getting reservation? So equality of law does not exactly mean equality of everyone. It means equality of equals. Okay. So in order to bring that person also as a equal to the general candidate, so we are giving some form of social. We are following the social merit, not academic merit, some social merit. So that is one kind of equality. So you are bringing everyone onto the same term because of some oppression in the past. They are not able to compete equally. So we are giving reservation to bring them to equal. So Article 14 is not just equality. If you go to the subsection, it also gives for reasonable classification. So you can say Article 14 forbids class legislation. So as a class, you cannot say, okay, all those people who belong to a particular community will be treated in one way. All people who belong to another community will be treated in. So that is class legislation. Okay, previously it used to be there, right? So if you are a Raja, Maharaja, okay, you have different rules. And if you go to pre-independence, those who are educated, those who are favored to the British, they get voting rights, all those things. So several things are there. So that is called class legislation. So Article 14 does not allow class legislation, but it permits reasonable classification. And 3 is wrong. So Article 14. is applicable to foreigners also, but Article 15 and 16 is not applicable to foreigners. Keep that in mind. So, which of the following are the cases in which judgment Supreme Court has held that preamble as a part of the Indian Constitution? So, remember this. Try to observe the timeline also. Okay. So, in the Birubari Union case, the Supreme Court did not consider preamble as part of the Constitution. But in the Keshavananda Bharati case, the Supreme Court came up with this idea of what you call the basic structure of the basic structure of the Constitution, the basic structure doctrine. So that came in Keshavananda Bharati case, 1973. So frequently questions are asked. Okay, when did the Supreme Court come up with the basic structure doctrine? Okay, you have to identify this Keshavananda Bharati case, 1973. Okay, so also in LIC case, 1995, it has the Supreme Court has held that preamble is part of the Constitution, and that is why in the 42nd Constitution Amendment Act, okay, of 1976, we have amended the preamble also, and that is the one and only time preamble was amended, and the words socialist, secular, and integrity have been added in the preamble. So answer C, 2 and 3. So which of the following is not an exception to the general rule of non-discrimination under Article 15 of the Constitution? Okay. So if you look at Article 15 is saying no discrimination based on race, religion, etc. Okay, gender only. So special provisions for women and children. Okay, that is allowed. So if you look at the subsections of Article 15, so it has special provisions for women and children. Okay, so just now we have seen Article 15, right? So Article 15 is of prohibition of discrimination on grounds of religion, race, caste, sex, or place of birth. So sex on just based on sex, you cannot discriminate someone. Okay, that is Article 15. But if you go to the subsections, Article 15, 1, 2, 3, then then you will see that special provisions have been provided for women and children. Okay, so that is there within the Article 15 subsection also. So in order to bring everyone to a certain sense of equality, you are providing 33% reservation to women also. Okay, recently the women reservation bill has been passed for the Lok Sabha also, right? For the Lok Sabha and I mean the Parliament and the Assembly also. Till now it was only for local bodies. Now from the next session, even uh, the Lok Sabha, I mean the Parliament and the Assemblies also will have a 33% reservation for women. So special provisions for the advancement of socially and educationally backward classes. Again, we have reservation for the scheduled caste and the scheduled tribes and backward BC everything, right? So this special provision is also there under Article 15 subparts. Special provisions for advancement of economically weaker section. Now we have, right, EWS there, and now because EWS come, let us see what is the Constitutional Amendment Act. Okay, whenever the opportunity comes, you have to uh, just keep repeating it. So these are the latest amendments. Okay, 106 is the latest amendment of 2023. It reserves one third of all seats for women in Lok Sabha. Just now we are talking, right? So one third of all seats are reserved for women in Lok Sabha, state legislative assemblies and legislative assembly of NCT of Delhi, and including those reserved for SC and ST. Okay, so this 106 is the latest one. And this is so try to remember these, at least this page is very important. Okay, so one not first is about GST. Is in 2016. So GST Act came into force in 2017. And so 101 is GST, 102 is National Commission for Backward Classes. Okay, 102. 103 is 10% reservation for EWS. Okay, that is what we're talking about now. 103rd. Okay, 2019. So in the second term, EWS come, right? Remember it like that. And 2020, during Corona, they have provided reservation of seats in Lok Sabha and State Assembly for basically scheduled cost and share till January. So it has been extended for 10 more years. Okay. So this keeps every 10 years this constitutional amendment happens, and reservation of seats in the Lok Sabha and the state legislative assembly for scheduled caste and scheduled tribes, it got extended till 2030. Okay. Okay. So 105th Amendment Act is revived the power of the state government to identify socially and educationally backward classes. So basically, now the states are given more powers to identify who comes under BC, OBC, BCA, BCD, etc. All these things. So one not blindly remember 101 is GST, 102 is again National Commission for BC, 103 is EWS, okay, 104 SCST, 105 is for state government BC, okay, 106 is 33 one third for women, okay. So remember like that, one liners, okay. Don't try to remember whole statement. So remember one liners, it will help you a lot, okay. So 106 is that's the latest. So here we're talking about special provisions for women and children. Yes, it is there. And what constitutional amendment of 106th constitutional amendment of 2023 is the latest. And socially and educationally backward is also there, right? And economically weaker sections is 104 or 103. Let's quickly look at it. EWS is 103. Okay, 103 EWS. Try to remember that. 103 is EWS. Okay, but you do not see any special provisions for advancement of linguistic minority and Article 15. Okay, linguistic minority, it is there in several articles are there. Okay, but we're talking about Article 15, that is with respect to reservations, with respect to especially education and all these things, employment, etc. So in that sense, there is no nothing regarding to linguistic minorities, right? There is no special reservation. So 15D is the answer. Okay, so we'll continue in the next class.